Don't look like it. Maybe later. Okay, we move on to item 5, which is to schedule our next conservation education meetings. It's going to be July 11th at 9:30.
I just arrived at the
And right here at the county boardroom.
what, July 9th? 11th? 11th. And it'll be here.
Okay. Okay. We are on item 6, which is audience to visitors, the UW extension portion. Anybody at this time care to make a statement? Not seeing or hearing anybody, we'll move on to item 7. And that's to review the UW extension bills for payment. Okay. Total of these bills for the month of June was $841.51. I'll pass them around. You can look at them. We don't approve them. We just look at them. If you have any questions, you can raise those now.
You gotta trust someone, right?
Yeah. There's no questions. We'll move on to the next item, which is number 8. Introducing Beth. I'm sorry, I had last name. I don't want to mess it up.
That's okay. It's pronounced McElwain, but it does look like, just alphabet soup type of last name.
Yeah,
one more time.
Regional livestock educator.
Got it.
Well done.
Owls?
Capital I, then an L. That's good.
Look the same next time.
Yeah, if you butcher it, it's really okay. I'm used to it, and it doesn't bother.
We'll just stick with Beth.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah,
Give us your 5 minutes and
Sure. Thank you for having me, everyone. My name is Beth McElwain. I'm the newly appointed regional livestock educator. I cover Vernon and my Vernon County, and my main office is in Viroqua, but I also cover La Crosse, Crawford, and Richland counties. I'm excited to be here. I have a bachelor's degree in animal science from UW River Falls, and I have experience working prior in extension with 4-H, as well as with the Humane Handling Institute out of River Falls that focuses on welfare and proper slaughter techniques. And I'm excited to dig into this role and meet all sorts of great people and see what I can do for you. Thank you.
Hey, congratulations on
Thank you.
graduation.
Thank you.
You had it coming up when you interviewed. So
Yes.
There a
Good
type
for you.
of animal livestock agriculture that you have more experience or interest with?
Beef. Yeah. So that's kind of where my specialty and focus is. I can get you resources and hopefully answer some questions on a whole bunch of different species, but I will be, learning and leaning on my colleagues for the first little bit. Sam and I have already kind of co-opted on some questions that we've gotten, and that's been a really great relationship, and working with people at the state level as well as other county levels. And everyone has been so welcoming, and I appreciate that.
well, welcome.
Thank you.
Maybe introduce the
good.
It's
committee.
true, yeah. I went to a pasture walk, and earlier this week I went to lunch with someone that I met at that pasture walk. So trying to grow and build relationships all over the place.
I guess you haven't met us, so the committee here would like to introduce themselves.
Please
So,
do.
Frank, you want to start off?
Yeah, I can. Frank Easterday. I'm in District 10 down in Nat Valley area. Raise quarter horses. That's pretty much retired, but we still put up a lot of hay, and unfortunately this isn't the best haying weather. So anyway, that's me.
You've been saying that for 50 years.
Look out for that guy.
My name is Dave Egan. I'm on the county board. Meet you.
Yes.
Mary Henry, and I met you at your interview.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Ben Boyan, I'm the county conservationist, so we're a different department that partners a lot and shares a committee with you guys.
Nicholas Slack, County Board Rep for District 7 near Reedstown.
And I'm Will Bilek, I'm from down by Stoddard, Chaseburg area, south of La Crosse there, dairy farmer. So,
Ridge farmer.
a ridge people. Okay, so glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, we'll move on then to, let's see here, number 9, which is educator highlights. We'll start off with community development.
My sheet.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So like every month, it's been pretty busy. But May, we had another INE club. And I taught the building your brand. I did a lot of professional development during May as well. We had in Crawford County, I was part of a multi-partner roundtable for small business development workshop. And that was very successful. That's actually the top photo that you can see there. And we began Wisconsin Rep at the end of May. So really excited about that. I'll be working with Hillsborough, and I have a meeting later with them today. So we're getting everything going there, and we'll be building a thriving community out there. So looking ahead, we just had an INE club last night. We actually had Vernon County Energy District came and they spoke about what kind of the green energy landscape looks like for Vernon County. So Wisconsin Rev will continue for the next 3 years. So it's a 3-year grant process. So I'll be working continually with that. And so I'll eventually be able to have some better updates once we get more into the program there. So, yeah.
Questions for Hannah?
What was that energy you talked about? Green energy?
Green energy. Yep. Renewable, green, solar, wind. Yep.
Was that in concert with that potential county land that's going to be developed for solar?
I am not aware of that.
Oh.
So,
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to 4-H. Is Emery here?
She is doing a program today, so I'll be doing it for her. I'll keep it real brief just because of our delay. So as some of you county members, I'm sure, got this invite in the mail. They're celebrating 100 years of 4-H in Vernon County. We ordered a dunk tank. It's going to be in town. It's going to be a blast. You guys are more than welcome to come. It's a big deal. You know, 4-H has been around for a long time all over the place, but it's been 100 years for Vernon County specifically. So you're welcome to that. And then, yeah, I think that's where I'll stop.
Any questions about that? If you want to go to that 100-year thing, I think that's RSVP. So you should sign up.
Yeah, it's time to talk to me if you need more info.
Okay, anything, we'll move on to crops and soil.
Sure. Well, I don't know, for the new board members, I haven't met, or we met at that watershed meeting, I guess, but Sam Bivy and the regional crops educator. Let's see. As far as my, not here. Clearly my reports are not nearly as full as everyone else's, but I guess big highlight we're working on right now is trying to, so we have Camp Lena, have a new cover crop study just outside of town here. We had that last fall. We're hoping to expand that project. We're planning to apply for a SARE grant this fall with some colleagues down in Dane County, somewhere around $40,000 or $50,000 for that for a 2 years continued study.
That's what category of SARE, do you know?
I do not.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, but pretty excited. That should be like in collaboration with researcher at the Dairy Forage Research Center in Prairie du Stade, and then another faculty member at Madison. So pretty excited there. Badger Crop Connect still going on all summer. We've increased our attendance from last year on average by like 20 attendees or so. So that's a good step in the right direction. And then we're also working to plan like a statewide weed control workshop for September. Wisconsin doesn't have anything really like this, but there's a few other states that have, like when I was at NDSU, we had a Wild World of Weeds, which was pretty big event, I guess, drew in a lot of people from several states and pretty well nationwide known. So we're hoping to kind of highlight our weed science in Wisconsin sort of with a statewide event. And then a few other things, I guess I don't need to really touch on. Those were my highlights.
Sam, could you make sure you hit us up for a letter of support for the SARE grant for sure?
You bet.
It doesn't hurt.
Any questions for Sam?
Could you highlight that Bad Axe, water?
Otherwise, Sam is going to talk about it today as well.
That's
Okay.
The Bad Axe monitoring and stuff on the agenda later,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sam and Samer can cover that later.
Yeah. Okay. If there's no other questions, we'll move on to food wise. Sheena's here.
Yep. Hi, everybody. I'm Sheena Cook-Fulsang, and I am the Food Wise Coordinator for Crawford, Richland, and Vernon counties. We are a 3-county team. Some of you might not know or might not be familiar with Food Wise, but Food Wise is a SNAP-funded program, so we're federally funded through the Farm Bill through SNAP. So a little piece of that SNAP funding goes towards education to work to help improve the lives of people who are eligible for SNAP and also the communities in which they live and thrive. So I took a position recently. So there's a new effort that is going to be funded through the state. So my big announcement today is that I am going to be leaving this position as the coordinator for Crawford, Richland, and Vernon counties to be a regional community health coordinator. And I'm going to read it to you because this is a completely brand new initiative. It's statewide. We're also going to be a 4-person team. There's going to be a state, there is a state supervisor, and then there's 3 regional positions. So my region essentially is going to be southern Wisconsin minus, I just learned a new term today, the quad counties. So I'm going to be basically Vernon County, Monroe County will be about as north as I go, and then it'll be south and east past Dane. So I'm going to read to you what we're doing because it's completely new and I think it's the best representation. So this is a new initiative to extend the support and capacity of the Institute's community-based educators and specialists and to build statewide capacity to identify and respond to community-driven health priorities. The regional community health coordinators will support community engagement processes, assessment activities, and data-informed action planning to advance community health and well-being. So I am actually going to continue to be based out of Vernon County. I believe that's official. I'm looking over. Yes.
I don't know if that's official yet.
No.
To Phil, Adam?
We're just going to extra office space in the corner.
Yeah, I'm not asking for any new space. I have no problem giving my office up to a new Food Wise coordinator because I'm very passionate about the work that we do and the resources we bring to our communities. So I'm happy they will be hiring that position, but I will be serving the area. I imagine traveling quite a bit as well. So any questions? Congratulations. Thank you.
Is that affiliated with Human Services or is
Nope.
standalone?
So we're still in extension, but we will be working with Health and Human Services. Anything from like community health improvement plans and offering support around, understanding the community health needs assessment, working with regional partners and They actually are aligning our regions with the Department of Health and Human Services regions as well. So we're going to be working alongside. But as you know, the work that Extension does is a little bit different. We work across communities. We really work to build relationships and strategic partnerships to create, to have sort of that collective action towards common goals. So kind of
How's that new farm bill shaking out?
Good question. I've not been paying attention.
Forget it.
I've heard some things, but yeah.
So are you part of key part of Extension here? Are you still going to come and report?
Yeah, I don't.
So at this point, I don't believe so. So Sheena's still with Extension on the statewide level. Her home location we have to have a home base.
Okay.
A place will be Vernon County, but she won't be tied up with the county Extension department. But that's clear as mud.
And it's 100% state funded. So I'll say that too. So even like the computer that they buy, the printer that they buy, the paper we buy, right? Like none of that should be an expense to the county.
Right.
That's not the intention.
The desk and the chair are the only expense. Sitting there.
Right. Well, and actually one of the desks I built and brought in 7-8 years ago when I started. So I won't even borrow your desk very often.
She's hanging on to us.
I know, right?
Well, I like it that she wants to stay in our county and we have more access to her.
Yeah, I'm really excited for opportunities, and I know we have a long meeting, so I won't.
Okay.
But one of the things I'm really excited is understanding how we can really best use opioid settlement funds, and this is an opportunity for this position to kind of work around that and have connections statewide too, and understand how other folks are doing it too. So,
Any other questions for Sheena? Okay, thank you. Good luck.
thanks.
Okay, Adam, did you have something you were going to?
No, I think you guys got more than enough stuff on the agenda for today, so
Okay,
I'll be pretty quiet today.
thank you. Okay, item 10. That's to review the land and water bills for payment. I am going to, you got a copy there in front. Our income here, our expenses for the past month were $96,153.46. And our revenue was $87,123.24. Take a minute, look at them. Any questions?
This is it's just public. So Nathaniel's asking about wildlife damage reimbursement. He's new to the committee. So this is through USDA APHIS. It goes to farmers for crop damage. It's essentially money in, money out that is approved by this committee, but goes directly to wildlife approved damage program. That's USDA APHIS money.
You'll hear more about that, Nate, when Phil comes to town. He comes here when there's something going on.
Bill
Peterson.
Bill Peterson,
With
yeah.
USDA
Representative.
wildlife biologist.
I'm new to the committee as well.
I'm sorry, Dave. I
Feel like you've been here forever.
You know,
Yeah, it's just kind of one of us. Okay, is there any more questions? Now we'll move on. It's item 11, and that is audience visitors, the land and water portion. Is there anybody here that cares to make a statement today? raise your hands just so I can see who you all are. Just a minute now. We're going to do this, but you're going to state your name and address. You're going to be limited to 4 minutes. You've got to talk about the agenda item you want to talk, that the dam's EIS statement. And there won't be any questions or debate on any of the items that you will speak on because they're not on the agenda, but they could be next time if you so desire. Okay, with that, I am going to start with that gentleman right there.
Great. Is this a good spot, camera and stuff?
Yeah.
My name's Eric Winninger. Live on Rongstead Ridge, Coon Creek Watershed, 30904 Rongstead Ridge Road. Our farm is straddles the county lines, which is kind of interesting because as does our watershed. We kind of have an unprecedented decision coming up. Everyone's very well aware of the plan EIS that came from NRCS. Sometimes I would like to differentiate what's happening at the federal level, NRCS, and on the local level, we have fantastic folks here locally that are doing absolutely everything they can. The amount of work that's being done in the landscape is very appreciated. I truly believe the county, as multiple counties, we are doing everything we can to infiltrate more water into the ground with the resources that we have. Will be voted on very soon is the approval or not of decommissioning the dams. So $60 million is being paid. Steve Becker, the state engineer. I'm also an engineer, mechanical engineering, so I'm looking at this from that engineering lens. These dams need to come out. There's almost no question about that. Technical issues, geologic issues, they're past their lifetime. So moving forward, what can be done about this? $60 million of infrastructure cannot be reaped according to the metrics that NRCS has. It does not fit their benefit cost analysis. But what Steve Becker said was, it's not engineers running this, it's economists. This is an economic decision. It was still, I believe, don't quote me on this number, but it was a 0.9 or a 0.95 benefit to cost ratio, meaning that over the course of the lifetime of these dams, in light of increased frequency, duration, and intensity of storms moving forward, there has been tens of millions of dollars, close to $60 million of benefit from these dams. These dams are going away. There's no question about that, right? What are we going to do? Is that funding going to be given to Land and Water to do something about it? Is it going to be given to the Highway Department? Is it going to be given to Emergency Management? Is it going to be given to all the public services that we need? We know these expenses are coming because these dams prevented this. So it's just to ask to continue conversation, working together. We have to come up with a solution. And this is an opportunity to ask NRCS. We need help coming up with a solution because it's bigger than us. It was bigger than us in the 1930s when we did this before.
1 minute.
And that's all it is. So I don't need to take everyone's time. Thank you to the county board members that came to the Coon Creek Watershed Council meeting last week. We talked about the role of forestry in infiltrating water. One thing that's really neat, I did not know this, the Cooley Experimental Forest in La Crosse County, part of the goal of it was to investigate what is the role of forests in infiltrating water into our landscape. We have these partnerships with UW, partnerships with NRCS, partnerships with the extension, partnerships with everyone locally, state, federal. Let's do something big. Let's figure this out. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody online?
Either talk or mute.
Number 31292, you are unmuted currently.
Anything happening up there again?
No, nothing.
Okay.
That's good. You said.
Well, I guess if we have nobody else, then we're going to move on to the next item. And that is the introduction of new staff of the land and water. Ben, you're gonna take care of that, or?
Sure. Is it okay if we begin with the interns and then save these guys for the grand finale? So one at a time, and this is personal development and growth, y'all, where you get to come on up and talk a little bit about yourself briefly, where you're from, how it's been going so far, maybe your life goals, dreams, and aspirations.
Suffered into coaches from yesterday's.
I was got so many cookies. All right, we'll just go by height, shortest to tallest.
All right. Hi, I'm Jackson Unset. I'm gonna be a senior in high school, and then I plan on going to college for some of the natural resources. So this job's helping, and then some things that have helped, or like we've done so far, is we've relocated fish and everything, which was pretty fun and helped.
Just yesterday, you guys relocated fish and it went well, and that's for the mill dam removal. So they saved as many. How many do you guys think you saved?
Around like 60 only.
That's a lot, 60 fish.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Jackson and I are related, and you probably don't even want to admit it.
Yeah.
That's always risky.
What high school are you from and where are you looking at for college?
I think I'm gonna go to Stevens Point, and currently I'm in Robo High School District.
How's your parents?
Jackie and Sean Unset.
What'd you do with the fish? Fish fry?
Blow your house.
We're not answering that.
Lawyer.
All right. My name is Brady Iverson. I'm from Roque, Wisconsin. I'm going to Stevens Point this fall for a major in environmental science and management. Hoping to become a game warden after 4 years. I joined this job because I think it'll help me step foot into like the environmental aspect of things. And so far these last 2 weeks, it's been great. We've cleaned the parks, picking up sticks, digging out stones, and then relocating fish.
You did the rain garden too.
Oh yeah, and a rain garden.
I'm Lily von Falkenstein. I'm from Hillsboro, Wisconsin. I will be going into my second year of college this next semester. I did a semester at Stevens Point, then I switched over to Western Technical College because I am also going to be a game warden. And for that program, you only need 60 credits in college. So I'm going for criminology right now, hoping to get into the field a little sooner. This job has helped me make a lot of connections. I've had a lot of fun so far. I've been here a little longer than Brady, about the same amount of time as Jackson has. We've done a lot of cool projects. Yeah, I had a lot of fun yesterday too with the fish. That was probably one of my favorite parts so far.
I would tell both of you to reach out to Shauna, DNR. She is immense working.
Those are our interns, and then we have a new conservation specialist also.
My name's Matt Eddy. I'll give you just a little rundown on my background. I've been with 2 weeks of, I guess, my second week. I graduated from Stevens Point. I like to hear all the people going to Point with a degree in geography and minors in geology and earth science. Worked for the DNR for about 3-4 years as a drinking water specialist. Then transitioned up to Monroe County working with Doug Avalis, the previous.
It's worth naming names with this group.
Yeah, Doug.
They know Doug very well.
About 7 years. Primarily, I was parcel mapping, doing land records modernization. From 2007 till 2019, my wife and I farmed. We had a 25-acre produce farm, kind of a direct marketing model, quarterly size. But remember in 2018, 2019 were pretty wet years, and so it was obvious it was time to do something different. We got tired of fighting the mud. And so I transitioned into an organic inspector job. Worked as a independent contractor, but then as well as a staff inspector for one of the nation's larger certifying bodies, Oregon Till. And that was did that just prior to taking this position. Inspected some really interesting operations, extremely large farms all over the country, 10,000 animal dairy farms, 5,000 animal dairy farms. Really interesting processing facilities. And, but the travel was an intense job, and my desire to help farmers rather than audit farmers is much greater. So the reward of the job is really what I'm looking forward to, is putting some projects on the ground, So I'm really impressed. I've only been here 2 weeks, still in the honeymoon phase, very much so, but just super impressed by the department and the county itself, particularly coming from Monroe County, where there wasn't the relationship that Ben has developed. And so, I'm just really excited to be here, really excited to help folks and make an impact.
Kenny, you said he's got a bad attitude and he's a slow learner.
Fast learner.
Oh, yeah.
Very well.
You guys and Tom Cruiser with NRCS working really closely together, and it's awesome to have you as part of the team.
Thanks.
Did you get to hear the committee members?
Yeah.
You did? I didn't know if you did.
Yep.
Okay.
Looking for big things to happen with you too. Kenny, or with Kenny, your teacher.
Can I just get you up to speed on our projects? I'm Kenny Anderson.
Well, let's actually, how about we, Kenny, if that's okay,
Get on the-
I think we could do it legitimately under watershed update after Sammer's done. I just want to make sure we stick to an agenda.
Yep, absolutely.
After Sammer's done at the watershed update, if that's okay. Just because this is introduction to new staff. You're not new anymore.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah, we're done with introductions now, Ben.
This fellow is my organic inspector right here.
Was.
Took him to the cleaners.
Audited me to death.
Now we're going to find out some things. Okay, we'll move on to item 13, which is the parks update. Marty.
Hey, everybody. You got to meet the interns that have been helping a lot in the parks. We're got a lot of stuff still cooking, small stuff, big stuff. Kind of the line item. I guess we usually start with the revenue. Everybody likes to look at the money that's coming in. So we're doing pretty good. We've added that line item that Frank requested for cash. So it looks a little different this month. So below there's Sophia camping cash and Sighty camping cash. So kind of get to see what comes in a weekly basis in cash compared to what we do for online reservations. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. It's hard to always tell, sometimes April was really front loaded with reservations. People are making reservations already 2 months in ahead. So you kind of get your money early there. So the next months when you compare them, they don't look the same. Obviously everybody knows it's been rainier. It's got some people at home, some people cancel. They see the 12-day forecast. They just believe it and don't cancel. So in general, we're doing really good. We're always busy. People just in and out of the parks all the time. So I think we're doing pretty good looking historically back at years past that we're trending in a good way. Still seems to be a lot of interest and talk about the park. So that's really good. Couple of the things that we were working on since we've probably seen you last was the holding tanks are finally up on the upper ridge for that building. We all met last Tuesday for DATCAP stuff, and I think that everything was kind of in at that point.
Just draw their attention.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, there's a handout, and I think you can get to a picture. There you go. Yeah. Sammer was kind enough to practice with his drone and take us some aerial photos in that first tab. There you go. Thank you. So those are the new tanks. We had, it got kicked back and forth a few times based on sizing. Mark might be able to say something on that they just were a little picky with us with it being a campground. We had to keep sizing up the tank size. But we finally were able to get it done and the plan done. So we have a big holding tank system that hopefully in the future, we'll see how things go up in the ridge. we built it out so we can expand it into actual septic system with a drain field. So right now it's just a holding tank. We'll see how busy things get. We can possibly just move right into a septic system in the next year or two.
That is a request we're likely to bring forward to you.
Possibly, let's put it on your radar.
As a cost saving,
Yep.
for sure. Because we pump quite a bit.
Yep. So there we kind of were. So this spur here is going to go out to where the dump station will be out in front of the building, which is another thing we're trying to, there's some code stuff and health department that they want us to make it more of self-contained units. So we're kind of going down the avenue so we do this correctly, working with the plumber, Travis Cade. So hopefully we're hoping, my goal is to try to have that place up and running by 4th of July weekend here. So now that we have tanks in and they'll bring the water in, all the plumbing and electric is all done except for the shower faucets aren't put in yet and the toilets. So other than that, everything is pretty much ready to go. It's kind of like most projects, it feels like that last 5% is the hardest percent to get kind of all wrapped up. So, but we're moving on it along with all the other things. Wayside Park, I've been meeting with a few construction people. DeWitt Construction sounds like they have the most interest and time to be able to go ahead and do those repairs. So I'm trying to push forward and get that done as quick as we can.
Thank you.
So, you know, we kind of got around to all these other parks and tried to do the updates that we need to. Now it's kind of start moving into the secondary ones to bring all the facilities up to what we want them to be so we can do it correctly. Everything we're going to do there is going to be pretty low maintenance. Everything's going to be wrapped in tin, no more wood, no more painting. So hopefully once we do it, it's pretty much hands off and maintenance free besides cleaning them. These guys have been awesome. The investment is the first couple weeks of training, them asking questions, us trying to show them, keep them moving. So it's been a lot of trying to just do the little things that eventually in a week or two just become second nature, and then we move into all the other projects. But they've been great. The rain garden, which was a whole chunk request, which is below that new shop that we built. It's for the impermeable runoff. We also had that well when they pounded it. It's an artesian well. It flows about 5 gallons a minute. So we were trying to do something with that water flow to not just let it run down the ditch. So we're trying to make it a little feature out of it.
Would it be possible to put it so people could come and get water from that artesian well?
Not, the health department kind of suggests no. It turns into a testing nightmare because they want it tested a lot.
Sure.
So that's why we tried to, this rain garden was in the process prior to all of this happening. It was a thought of Ben in the department for that water was always saturated in the roof runoff of that building. And it's a good teaching tool for the community. You know, we tried to put out, Nick did a really good write-up so people can stop and see what we were doing there and why we were doing it. And it's something that people can incorporate into their property if they would want to. So Sammer did a lot of the ordering of the plants. Everybody, there wasn't a day, there was every day last week, everybody was kind of all hands on deck trying to get it done. So it turned out great, I think. Looks really good. So
that was what the pond liner on the bills was for.
Yep.
So is it still a big attraction for the beavers?
They will be down there.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that pond was there originally because of the beavers.
Well, there's that pond, yeah, on the backside on Mike McClurg's property, there's a pond back there. So hopefully what we did do now is that whole side of the road now is we basically drive that all out now. So we can mow that and maintain that again over there. We maybe have gotten back a campsite that we had to get rid of. It was a primitive campsite, but it's still good overflow and a good spot.
Marty, you described it really well, but part of the goal was, you know, we know we're having an impact with the building, making impervious surface, but we also really want more demos of rain gardens here in the community. You described it well.
Yeah, it's a good showcase spot. That's right there and everybody drives through. And then
An information board there for schools and people visiting?
For on the building for stuff or about that?
About the rain garden.
There is one there now, but yeah, I think it would be a good thing to maybe add in something more permanent. We just had some printouts and we staked them in just so people knew what we were doing when they drove by. And I think Nick did an awesome job painting the picture of what we were doing and why we were doing it. So yes, it's something that I think it would be great to keep it there and let people know why we put it there.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably next month, you're going to see a bill for Black Hawk for that dock. One of the ramps last year and that flood got ripped off. You guys approved last year to buy a new one. I tried putting off as long as I could, hoping it would wash up somewhere. And it never did because they're not cheap, about $4,000 for that ramp. But when we put it on this time, we're going to try to cable the land side. So if it would break or rip those hinges off, we still have the physical ramp. But I've heard that, I haven't been down there, but I've heard that the water is up to the road now again. So the water's high. But we know it's nothing that those docks can't handle because they went through the big one. So that's kind of the update in our world. We're busy, constantly moving. So from one place to the next.
Unbelievable amount you guys have accomplished this season already.
Questions for Marty?
The clutch stage crested in lacrosse today.
Oh.
So it's supposed to go down again.
Good.
How did you get for internet service in East Sofia for $200? What was that amount?
What's that?
Yeah, internet service in East Sofia?
Yeah.
How'd you do that for $200? What'd you do?
Oh, I don't know if I think they give us a deal just because we're the county
Oh.
for some type of emergency so people have funding. So I don't know if it's a municipal discount for that.
I don't know, but it works. I used it last night. I was SOS and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, we got Wi-Fi.
Yep.
It worked great.
Good.
East Sofia last night for the concert in the park was fabulous.
Good.
Friends of the park.
I heard the door was locked though on the women's side.
Yeah, for a while, but once it got open, I did hear a lot of nice comments about those bathrooms.
The new ones?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I think the littler ones up top, one of them, I don't know if somebody had locked it and closed it because you can lock them and then they close.
The interns will probably have some work down there today, some things sunk in the grass. But
I heard, I got a text message
from Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told her, no problem.
I told her, I said, Mary, these things happen.
Yeah.
But the weight of those books on that bookmobile.
Yeah.
It's all good.
So that's our update. Thanks for your support always.
They asked, I had a conversation with some campers at Saidi a couple weeks back. And there's a sign at the entrance that I think the last time I was there, it got clipped.
Oh, yeah.
But it says no horses, no ATVs.
Yeah.
And they were concerned because they were seeing them in the parking area. And my assumption is that is in reference to the trails. Am I accurate?
Yes.
They can come into the park.
They can drive and use the road, but
it's a good point though, because I bet you that sign is older than the change in Vernon County. That it is.
Yeah, if we could get some sort of
because they're allowed on the driveway.
We do have ones that we have to get out, which is part of the training and getting everybody moving. That say no motorized vehicles beyond this point, which we'd like to put at like the turnarounds. So no unauthorized vehicles, I believe is what it says. So,
That's a good, I've had people ask me too for when they go down.
Yep.
Just for concerts or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point.
Same question.
Highway move that sign down to the end.
Or all we got to do is take that one off because it's just on that 4x4 that just got hit not too long ago.
Yeah, it's just laying.
Okay. Yep.
Any other questions here? Okay, thank you, Marty. We'll go to item 14, which is the watershed update.
We'll start with Sammer, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So some of you may remember, but I'll just go over it briefly because we have some new board members. So Bad Act Watershed and Tanner Watershed had $30,000 for Ho-Chunk funding, and they wanted to spend it on some sort of technology to help bring more people to the watershed and just to make more assets that they can use to get more farmers involved. So they have got 20 wireless soil probes that measure soil moisture and temperature at 3 different points along 12 inches. And we're putting those throughout the watershed. They can just walk up with their phone, it'll download the data and then send it to a cloud where we can all view it. So that's one thing that they're doing. I've installed 6 of the probes and I have 14 more to go. Hopefully today I'll get them all installed too. But that, and then they also got a drone, multispectral imaging drone that can take lots of mapping images of a field and kind of tell you where you might have nutrient deficiencies or weed suppression, tell you germination rate, all sorts of things like that. So these are just tools that they've got to help bring people to the watershed. And I just recently passed my drone pilot's license last month. I needed a 70% and I have a 95. So, yep.
Great job. I've only heard great feedback from the Bad Axe. You're putting a lot of time into them. And again, these tools that our county board and committee approved for Ho-Chunk funding, they really want a baseline of where they're at and document so they can show kind of, research is a strong word because, you know, the level of research, but demonstrate and see the progress and the changes. And I've only heard great feedback about how much you're helping. And Sam helps once in a while too, right? He's been, you guys have been teaming up on working with that watershed together, which is a great extension land and water partnership. But really good feedback. They do have a meeting tonight.
Yep.
In case anyone's interested, that's at Steve Oliver's at 6:30 tonight.
Yep.
Is a Bad Axe.
I'll be installing a probe at his house during the meeting too. So.
Yep. And I will just add, Sam and I and Matt joined us for, you know, when we're talking about Coon Creek watershed in particular, the watershed group has like a $10,000 grant. They're working with Valley Stewardship Network to do a 9 key element plan. I leaned on some old DNR friends and they only picked 3 counties. We're one of the counties. They're getting $50,000 that we're splitting. So a lot of it will be Sammer's time, a little bit of my time, probably some of Matt's and other partners, to do a 9 key element plan. And Coon Creek Watershed Group decided they wanted timber coulee. We had to choose a sub watershed. So we're splitting $50,000 with Valley Stewardship Network, which really fits in wonderfully with the type of work Sammer's already doing with doing this watershed modeling and this prioritization. And that'll help really with the game plan for timber coulee. It does then open up more once this plan is completed, which plans aren't super fun. I'm not going to lie. Like, a lot of dotting I's, crossing T's, but then it will qualify us for additional DNR and EPA funding once that 9 key element plan is complete. So we just met with them this week and they went through and they confirmed, you know, we'll get that extra additional unexpected funding. And Kenny has been patient and wanted to give an update, and watershed planning makes sense. Yeah.
This year, we're going to receive $61,000 in bond money, and that money can be used for, excuse me, conservation practices, hard practices, what we call them. We're currently working on Travis Klinkner's, just put in the pipe yesterday. That one. Lorenzo Nicolati, we finished that one on Monday. Excuse me. John Hornby, Justin Daniel, Luther Hendrickson, Ruth Lepke, and Coon Valley Conservation Club, and then Andy Deal. We'll be putting dams into them this summer.
How many is your goal?
It's going to be a busy.
How many dams?
We could do a dozen a year, but this is
right now.
This is a lot. For next 8 of them this summer.
And our ponds.
And these are all just dry dams. I think Andy Deals is 40 acres, and that's the biggest one. Otherwise, most of them are at 15 acres. That's where we, tend to construct the smaller dams.
It's impressive. That's a lot.
And these are all 70-30 kosher?
Yes, they can receive 90% if they can prove its economic ownership. So they just have a form they have to fill out. They can receive 90%.
And what's the criteria? The landowner comes to you?
Yeah, they contact us, and then I go out and look at the site to see if they qualify. And then depends on, based on the erosion, take the worst, the amount of soil loss from the site. Yeah. And there's a spreadsheet you can use. But we're looking for more landowners that are interested. So,
A lot more.
yeah.
Well, right, and it's both building capacity and the map Sammer is creating. It's actually just jumping right out of the page on where they're needed in the watershed. So tying those efforts together.
So the Coon Creek watershed is citizen-based primarily? So same with Bad Axe?
Yep. I would say Bad Axe is very heavy farmer based. A Bad Axe really is primarily farmers who are running
Like a
running
criteria or something.
Yeah, they did just make some new, criteria for being a member, and it was kind of having 20 acres. Anybody's welcome to come, but to be a voting member, it gets 20 acres of the watershed. Yeah.
That's a good point, though. They actually, Bad Axe did set up their bylaws to skew towards more farmer based, and I think adjoining watershed, but not anyone from anywhere ever, where I think Coon Creek is a little more open to whoever, but and not so much. They're in their very name is community watershed group with Coon Creek, and Bad Axe is more farmer led base.
This sounds better.
Well, I'm just wondering, in
More
both
Bad
of your
Axe.
watersheds, do you know the percentage of how many are local and how many are out of state owners or out of town?
I would say most of them are local, at least in Bad Axe.
In the group.
Yeah.
Is that your question?
Just in that watershed alone?
Well, roughly 50% absentee landowners is the truth in Vernon County.
Okay, that's what I was
But
looking at.
that's just an ish. Yeah. Non-resident or absentee. You think I'd make stuff up?
Like that too, your watershed, it's that much too?
I don't know. Eric would have a better answer. Percentage?
I would lean on the county. I don't know.
Okay.
A lot of people ask that question.
Wait, what was the question?
Of membership, it's mostly people who live in.
But not even just membership, how do you reach out to those people that are out?
I mean, you can get addresses off GIS maps, right?
Parcel, yeah.
They send
We try to send
letters
letters out just to addresses that are listed online.
Or those
Did
folks.
you receive any interest back?
It's ideas that are just happening right now and how to engage people.
Or I'm just wondering as a way to engage.
I am trying to, working with the American Farmland Trust to hopefully educate non-operating landowners later this year. So it's just against that, just for non-operating landowners in the area, which just means you own land, but you're not farming it, stuff like that.
Correct.
Hopefully to get them together and educate them on conservation practices and stuff that's valuable for rental contracts and things like that. So just to call it, American Farmland Trust.
Definitely some of our events from 10 plus years ago were the impetus of some of these watershed groups. And now they're having these events, and then certainly word of mouth is helping a lot with these. They're good questions, Mary, and they're ongoing questions. But I think having quality, impactful field days and events have gone a long ways, and then the word getting out over time.
Last Wednesday, Nate and Wade Lawler were at the Coon Creek.
with you.
Yeah, well, there was beer there, so I tell them. They're all local folks there. I mean, they were.
Yep, it was a good time.
Okay, I'm gonna let Monique talk. Monique, can you hear us?
Hello, you bet. Good morning, everyone. Monique Kosman, GIS coordinator here at the county. There was a question that Supervisor Henry had asked about the number of landowners that lived in a different area. I just want to chime in here and say that the CCCWC has contacted the Land Information Office for that data. So we had to put together a Excel spreadsheet of addresses, not just for Vernon County, but because that watershed expands into La Crosse and Monroe, but get addresses for those counties as well. What we did was then look at the site access as well as the mailing address, and however they choose to use the data, but they'll be able to see how many landowners have a mailing address that's outside of the area. So Mary, happy to put you in contact with them. They have done the work, they've requested it, so they do have that, if you are interested in specifics.
Well, I just thought each watershed might really be interested in that information of getting information of like pond stuff or whatever to broaden that scope to get information out to those land.
Absolutely. Should anybody else want that data, we are more than happy to assist in that process if needed.
Thank you.
And it would be interesting because residences versus acreage may not be the same answer too when you're looking at absentee.
But I would think the people that are in those watersheds with the dams coming out, they need to be informed. Better practices or improved practices or whatever.
Anything else on watersheds here? Not seeing anybody or hearing anybody, we'll move on to the next item. It's item 15, Jersey Valley bid opening, action item. Mark.
This is actually Nick.
Yep.
Or Nick, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So just to give kind of a brief background, because this process started like a year ago. So back in
the Frank.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Big, yeah. No, it's all good. It's a good project coming down the pipeline here. So last year I applied for a sustainable forestry grant through the Wisconsin DNR. We received funding to do this project. So we received a grant for $20,000, which is a straight through grant, which means that there's no 50% match involved. It means that they just will reimburse the deliverables at the end of the grant. So it's a great pot of money that we can use. Essentially what we were trying to do is to rehab the road structure, the forest road structure around Jersey Valley, for two parts, one for recreation-based activities, and number two, because I have a couple of timber sales that are going to occur on that property probably over the course of the next 3 to 5 years, right? So we're going to try to sell the timber on one side of the property, hopefully by either this fall or next spring, and then the other side probably next fall, hopefully. And then, timber sales operate over the course of years. So anyways, so it's access and it's recreation based. So I sent out a bid packet, a lot of help from Kenny getting these things squared out. He's got a lot of experience in, crossings and things like that, which was a big question mark. So, Sarah, if you want to, you can, do you have that? Oh, I'm sorry.
Just checking, Kenny and Nick, did you say you leaned on Mike Dreschmeyer, NRCS engineer, and got a little bit of just some of these crossings with these dry runs ripping through? The answer is not always obvious. So working with Kenny and our NRCS friends, you ran some of these ideas by him to get.
Yeah.
He suggested the
concrete slats. Yeah. So we had a lot of different ideas on how we wanted to, ford those dry crossings. And, finally with the help of, state engineers and stuff like that, we kind of came up with this idea of, installing these concrete slats. And it was very much a wish list. We were hoping to get it done with the 20,000. We weren't really sure where the bids were going to come back because it was kind of an interesting bid structure. But, so this is the bid sheet that I handed out to you guys if you guys want to take a look at it. So you can see there was a wide range in bidding, with MRV coming in at the lowest bid. I did have a site visit with them. They do logging roads all the time. And so I'm not necessarily worried that they're so much lower than everybody else. I think that they have a good scope of what it takes to rehab logging roads, because they do this on a weekly basis. And the other thing that was good about them is they came in right in the ballpark for those concrete slats for both install and for the purchase of the slats themselves. So the thing that they beat everybody else on was the price per lineal foot on existing new road structure. So, and the new trail.
And I would just remind her and some of the committee members I knew, we do have the right to reject any and all bids. Normally, our staff would let you know, especially if a low bid, we really have reason to believe they cannot perform the work. In this case, Nick, you do not feel that's the case. You've had a site visit. You believe they can, even though there's quite a difference, but we love us some low bids, right? We love us some low bids as long as they can do.
I haven't, but Kenny, you have a project with them this year.
Projects in La Crosse County.
Who is MRB? Where are they from?
They're from La Crosse County, or maybe Monroe County, but they're up on my ridge, up on 33, St. Joseph's Ridge.
And I agree that our technician friends in La Crosse work with them quite a bit in La Crosse County, Land and Water in La Crosse County, quite a bit. So
I feel pretty comfortable recommending the low bid in this case.
So Nick, on those dry runs, they're gonna get a concrete bottom?
Yeah.
They're gonna pour them on site, or
they're precast concrete slats like a cattle crop. They got to haul them in. So that was one of the biggest concerns in my mind, is getting those things in. They're very heavy. There's a lot of them. And the idea is they might take a log forwarder in with them. And that would probably be the best way to do it after the roads have been rehabbed.
Right.
Just a side note, if we go with this low bid, Nick got a $20,000 grant. The bid is less than 17,000. Little bit of contingency, and then there's always some ways you can spruce up the trail a little bit more. Your plan will be to maximize that $20,000 grant.
Yeah,
it's very encouraging to have.
We use all the money for sure, as best we can. So there is a little bit of contingency. Say the new trail gets really rocky, and they have to reroute a little bit further. It's based on the lineal feed, so we do have a little bit of that worked into the price at 17,000. But hopefully, good signage, things like that for the recreation-based activities after the timber harvest go on. Perfect use for the money. So they can't start working until after July 15th due to my oak wilt restrictive guidelines. So after July 15th, they can start working on.
Frank, is anything fast enough for you? You had to get the grant.
I'm in no hurry.
In the bid. As soon as you asked for a trail, he started working on the trail.
No, he's doing a great job.
So we are looking for either questions or a motion to accept
Questions for Nick yet? Any questions of that? We need a motion here to approve what Nick wants to do.
Well, I think Frank should.
Okay. Motion to approve the low bid here of $16,279.50, and maybe a little extra.
Mary?
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion? Any discussion?
Oh, it'll be nice to get that.
Not hearing any?
Again.
All in favor of approving this bid to MRD Excavating? Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Good job, Nick. Okay, item 16, Millsna Dam decommissioning update. This must be.
Yeah, it is. Not a lot to inform you right now. I'll have a packet next month with pictures and progress. Basically, they just moved equipment in a couple weeks ago.
They've done a lot already. I was up there last night. They moved a lot of dirt already.
Well, they got that kind of an old cut over to the other side. And they knocked the tower down to drain that wet sediment pond. And then they dug a diverting trench on the far side, catch the feed, get it, keep it to the west. Now it sounds like there's kind of a wait period for about a week to let that drain. You're not going to use that. And then kind of bring it back until the next
Got like 3.
So I anticipate we'll be down there a lot more in about a week or so doing survey work with them. The intern said we got the fish out and they put a rock check below they take where the filling basin is to keep the fish from swimming back upstream. That was good. We got our you guys let us get a couple of years back with it out and good. So yeah, just very beginning stages.
Mark, can you remind me the name of the contractor?
Yeah, it's Hawk
Island Excavating. And pretty good impressions so far.
Yeah, they were the low bid. I think theirs was 380,000. The top one was up around $1 million. We called them and they were excited to get the job and wanted to get started. So
seemed like with the pre-construction meeting with Ayers, they had some really good questions and good forethought on how to go through the process. And it was our first real decommissioning,
Yeah, they were helpful the other day. We hooked up the excavator to the back of the, pulled the pump with the skid steer, quick attachment. It'll hit. So we put a log chain back to the excavator, let us down slope from the dam real slow. It pulled us back up with the dozers. It seemed to be real good.
Questions for Mark?
Oh, what a swing in bids from 380 to a million.
Right.
Yeah. We got a little extra money there to work with.
Yeah, the engineer's estimate was 750,000. So they're well below that. But that's, typically on these jobs, you'll have a big company with, the top bid was Byte out of Minneapolis. Come in and see.
Sure. It's just like you said, we just got 50%. Very good, Mark.
Yeah, let's hope that keeps going there, Mark. It's taken quite a while to get it going.
Frank, I will have a beer ready for you. She wants to go over and see it, she said. Oh, might as well stop by and have a beer with Frank on your way.
That works.
I might have a cold one available.
Don't get too close to the barn. Just saying.
Okay, let's move on to the next. They could talk after the meeting. Item 17, establish a land resiliency commission. This is an action item.
So I would say we can have as much discussion right here as we want. We can almost formalize every part of it, or one option would be for this committee to kind of give Cassie, myself, and maybe one committee member kind of the blessing to forge forward on exactly identifying. So it's really up to you guys how much you want to decide right now. Informing the commission, I believe one thing is, it was Mary's idea. It is in response largely to the dams coming out and how are we going to move forward. So I think we know for sure we want at least a couple of representatives from a couple of watershed groups. I believe Will was clear, and I agree that you'd like this commission to answer to this committee, but bring their findings to this committee and kind of work in partnership in that way. And the by no means is the title locked in stone, right? Land Resiliency Commission is an option, and I guess I would entertain as little or as much discussion as this committee would like, and the steps forward on how to select and form this commission. Well, I confused Dave, unless that's just your normal face.
That's ever got an idea, Mary or Dave here? Mary, do you got any ideas here that you wanted?
Well,
your idea?
When I envisioned it, I've attended the Monroe County and I like their meetings, but they're at the same time as general government. And when hearing from people, they wanted somewhere to turn to for help, support, communicate with. So when you come to this meeting, you can speak, but they would like dialogue. And I get that. Last week I went to the meeting and that dialogue with Coon Creek was great. I think that's why there are fewer people here today than we anticipated, is because it was a chance for people to talk about their ideas or lack of ideas that are coming out there, but they're scared and they have a right to be. It's a change. So I just felt we started a resilience group at one time and then it fell apart, and I think it was COVID and a lot of change.
A lot of staff turnover.
Yeah, a lot of staff turnover.
Absolutely.
And that was really getting started in the right direction.
Yes.
But my envision is to have stakeholders at that conversation and to really bridge conversation and not just have a meeting where there isn't conversation. The conversation is what bridges the gaps and people understand, because then we can actually hear their concerns and respond to it and not just have a 4-minute speak and you can't respond. So I want it to be, my envision is, and giving out information. Monroe County gives out so much information and they have a lot of stakeholders on the federal and state level at those meetings and talking. Like they have a theme for each one, really. And they have great I mean, I really enjoyed going to them. I just can't do it right now. But they have a lot of information on their website.
Well, what we're looking at here, if I got Ben right, is we're looking at directing somebody to organize this kind of, and I don't know who you want to do that.
I guess I was thinking myself, Cassie's made it clear she's not going to be on the commission, but could you would still be able to help me?
Yeah, we can still work with coordinating and all of that. I just thought I didn't feel it was necessarily appropriate for me to be sitting on any kind of committee or commission, but I can certainly help coordinate.
You specifically said you've had enough meetings with me in the room and you're done.
That's what I said, yes.
So I don't know if possibly myself, Cassie, and one member of the LCC could work to propose what the membership would look like.
I do think, I'm just going to come up so.
Go ahead.
I do think getting the watershed groups involved, getting NRCS involved, getting DNR, inviting our partners in La Crosse and Monroe County to be involved as well, because as we talked about in Planning Commission yesterday, this intergovernmental partnership is really important. You know, the watershed, they extend over county lines. It only makes sense for us to involve them. But you know, what we've been hearing consistently for the last few months with the dam decommissioning is what happens next. And I think this is a good answer for us to all get together, put our heads together, come up with some big ideas, and get everybody at the table. Where I think we may not see the uproar here today. You know, we've definitely had some comments regarding that, and I think that's a great solution to address those issues.
And I agree with Mary. I believe hosting that meeting last week really helped the dialogue. So I guess, you know, if it was Cassie, myself, and one LCC member who could bring a recommendation maybe by next month of what the commission would look like, that's one idea.
I would like to see it, next month, and I think that's appropriate as we bring that along with the vote for the preferred alternative to the county board. You know, doing those in tandem, I think makes a lot of sense.
Just a quick question. Mary, you mentioned the limitations of a public notice meeting with an agenda like this. I mean, there's not an opportunity for back and forth with citizens. A commission of this nature wouldn't be bound by those limitations?
I'm not sure. That's something that has to be.
I love the question, Wade, and I would even ask, is commission the right word?
Well, right.
And
I think that's something we're going to have to flesh out in the next month.
will the county board members get a per diem? Is the public notice the same? Those are things I do not have the answer to, and I think those are important.
As far as speaking here, Wade, if your name was on the agenda, you could get this back and forth, but you got to be designated. You're not. If you're not designated here, then that's
and I get that,
possible.
You know, I don't think anybody wants another meeting just for a meeting's sake. If the same thing could be accomplished here. So just kind of sussing out what the difference would be and how it would facilitate different kinds of conversation would be important.
Yeah, I guess
Go ahead.
Well, and my thought is if we have sitting members from the watershed, like that would allow dialogue.
Wow.
Yeah.
It could be a bit of a connection between this committee and the watersheds.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's very true. If they are a sitting member, then they'll be able to have dialogue.
Okay. I guess.
Structure it similar to how we do our other advisory committees, where we have, a lot of those advisory committees have one board member on them, and maybe a staff member, but then any partners are listed. I know we have something like that, actually just list out to the board today, that we could run it like that.
Do we have a volunteer from the committee that would like to be on this? Mary?
Well,
everybody's pointing at you.
Well, that kind of was my idea. I have an idea what I'd like to see.
What we've got here is we got Ben, we got Cassie, and we got
two as an option if we had two. Cassie said two would be an option if Nathaniel said he hasn't quite realized how much he's committed to yet, so I think it's still a good time to rope him in.
Okay.
But he has a direct line with your career that I think
We both agree, we're tricking him into joining this commission.
I think he would, I don't think, I think he wants.
More than willing to contribute, however.
Yeah.
Well, this is an action item here.
Yes.
So, somebody want to make a motion?
So I think what we're looking for is the motion would be for both of these members to be on it and for them to work with Cassie and myself to bring a recommendation to this committee next agenda.
month.
For an advisory committee or advisory commission.
I'll make that motion. Who's taking minutes?
That's on, it's not a second minutes.
Okay, you got a motion by Dave and a second by Frank here to establish this, commission. So, is there any other discussion here?
Yes.
We got that already. Okay, everybody in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
We hired you and we can fire you too. You don't bring good.
He's looking at you.
At me?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
looking at me, looking at you.
Oh, he tells me he can fire me every day.
Okay, we're gonna move on to item 18, dams EIS preferred alternative resolution. This was slated as an action item. It is not an action item today. It's just discussion.
Just give an update on where we are at. Monroe County, La Crosse County, and Vernon County want to have some parity, some similarities in the resolution. So we're waiting on that resolution to be developed. I believe it is developed, but our Corp Council hasn't had a moment to look at it or anything. So that is part of the reason to wait a month. Another reason was we did feel like there were reasonable and significant questions from the community, particularly Coon Creek Watershed. I greatly want to thank Coon Creek Watershed, Brad Paff, Lauren Oldenburg for hosting a meeting last week that I believe there was very good dialogue at. Loud and clear, I believe won the room was, as long as we accept the dams need to come out, we would be darn fools to not accept this money at this time. We literally could be risking not getting the money for the dam decommissioning. And I do believe through the discussion, I don't think there was a person in the room who didn't agree with that by the end of the meeting. So we are strongly advising that this is approved, we believe, next month as a resolution, and then we'll go to the full county board. I would encourage, please, if you're hearing anything from county board members or from the community, please have them contact me or let me know so I can reach out to them. It'd be great to anyone else who needs the discussion or to be brought up to date. I think it's very important. I think it's nice to kind of come forward as one voice. And I think loud and clear what really was heard. You know, we had our local Justin Olson, NRCS, Steve Becker was here, the acting state conservationist for NRCS and the regional conservation, you know, so we had very strong NRCS representation. We had politicians here, we had multiple county land conservation, we had watershed groups, we had committee members. And I think it was very clear, this is not the end, this is the beginning. The dam commissioning is part of it. The work that needs to be done moving forward is, you know, probably never going to end. And we had a very strong group of people committed and a lot of strong support from NRCS that they're going to keep working with us to make these improvements. And Matt, the new guy, got to have a sense of how important his role and Kenny's role, what Mark does and what Sammer does, and how important that is for the community. So hopefully that's an overview. Our plan is to bring this resolution forward. But again, if anyone has questions, please do have them contact me in advance of next month.
I think something we should remember, the acceptance of this money only leads to more things down the road. And we don't know what that all is, but there obviously will be more. And I point that out when we fixed Jersey Valley the last time. CDBG was a shot in the dark, just showed up, and we had applied for it, of course, but we didn't know what it was. and fix the structure up. And of course, now we're back stage one again. That's the way it is. Anyway, yeah. Anything else here?
Just a quick follow-up on that.
Okay.
Shoot, now my train of thought has left my brain. I heard the comment about, delaying, potentially risking the funding. Can you put some specificity around that? I know I think a lot of people were expecting to vote on that resolution today.
Sure.
And, didn't come to board meeting. And so now we're looking at next month at least. Can you just?
The only delay is really because just working with the multiple counties and making sure everyone's court counsel has a chance with it. A month I wouldn't call a real delay, but much more is. Not to get people, a change in administration is a real thing. But Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, this watershed program went over a decade with zero funding in it, right? So there's 12 to 13,000 PL 566 structures in the nation. And they went an entire decade with zero allocations. This program that exists with zero allocations. Our timing, there couldn't be a better time for your dams to breach. I don't know if I mean those words, but in some ways with this program, that's reality. It was funded, and the timing of our dam breaches with the plan EIS, right? You can't touch federal money without an environmental impact statement at this scale. The timing was extremely fortunate that it was available, and someone like Steve Becker could go through all those steps to actually make us qualify. Future administrations and future funding pools are, who's got a clear crystal ball and can tell me what the stock market's doing tomorrow or anything, right? Like that is how risky it is. The precedent is this money didn't exist and we wouldn't have even been able to get it. Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, it was by accepting the plan EIS and the preferred alternative, it doesn't financially bind Vernon County, and Steve was very clear on that. It doesn't bind us to removing any dams. It's just on paper, Vernon County, Monroe and La Crosse approve the preferred alternative. They want to seek funding to get the designs going to reach structure removal. At that point is when we would enter into agreements with the NRCS for removal of structures.
It's one more step in that direction.
To greatly help secure that federal funding, whereas otherwise it is absolutely jeopardized.
Well, so, until that agreement is signed, of course, that funding is at risk. We don't know. But has there been a hard deadline given?
What we know is waiting one more month won't make a huge difference. We don't know a lot more beyond that. I wouldn't keep kicking the can, but 1 month does not make or break it. But really, June was the timeline that has been set forth.
They haven't said, August 30th you're done or anything like that.
Yeah, can we talk more? Because you're referencing administration changes. But when you say we risk the funding, are the feds saying take this or we're gone? Are they saying what is meant by the risk?
The state engineer of NRCS, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. We didn't get into Steve Becker. We didn't get into every detailed nuance of do we have 3 months or 4 months or when is the drop dead gone?
Steve is saying that if we don't accept this, that the feds are willing to leave us high and dry. Or that's poor language.
I think that is poor language because they're not trying to threaten us. They're just telling us the reality of the landscape and the landscape historically as it has been. And there's 12 to 13,000 other PL 566 dams that might swoop in and get that limited funding and those kind of things. It's just not a guarantee without the signed agreement.
So
I wouldn't call it a threat.
You could go elsewhere.
For sure.
And accept it.
For sure. That's a great way to look at it. Accurate.
Historically, all of our projects ranked very low nationally. High hazard dams above communities in the Sound, where there's very little zoning. There's very high personal property rights, and zoning is just completely frowned upon in Texas, Oklahoma. Well, then they go ahead and build a city below a dam. It's a high hazard structure. There's many people at risk. Bam, we rank highest for national funding. With this this recent money kind of from the COVID, the Inflation Reduction Act money and the American Infrastructure money. That's where a little bit of that got put in this non-discretionary out that we're on. So, there's a real possibility that with administration changes and stuff, our budget changes and not available. Again, we just stress we're not locked into anything by accepting this. There's just really the next step towards designing what's the renewable.
Is it 3 million or is it 4.2? I'm trying to make some sense out of all these numbers in here that were.
See somewhere between 20 and 30 million.
Yeah, I didn't.
Well, part of that is for Jersey Valley, right?
That's closer to 20 million just for Jersey.
They didn't break down a specific design.
Correct.
For us.
I mean, for the decommissioning.
Right, for decommissioning. So, from my understanding, there's almost 2 steps. Is we sign the deferred alternative.
2 more steps.
Yeah, we are eligible for this design funding. Once designs are completed, then we apply for and are awarded deconstruction funding, which is the 30 million. So
approximately 20 for Jersey and 7 to 10 and that's approximate.
Everything I heard is that as you progress through the scale, you're more and more likely to get the end funding.
And as a reminder, the variance of 100% is almost unheard of. That they worked hard to, right? It would have been 70, well, a lot of it's at 50% or 70, 75% at best. To get 100%, nearly 100% is almost unheard of. And that's a very unique and special variance that will help Vernon County significantly.
Senator Papp and Oldenburg were, after the meeting, they were pretty supportive. They were all about trying to find some local dollars to match even Kenny's work on, farm ponds and riprap and stuff, and bring maybe our funding available for those projects up to 100 with special state earmark dollars for this region. So yeah, I think they left the meeting knowing, hey, they might need to do some work in Madison too to get some monies our way. It's not a 1-for-1 replacement like we well put a couple meetings ago, but it is a way to get more farmers incentivized to build some smaller structures on the landscape.
NRCS agreed to give us a heads up. There's a special Conservation Innovation Grant, SIG, funding that's available, but on a certain timeline. All 3 NRCS people agreed they'd give us a heads up on that timeline. Oldenburg and Papp are aware of a special flood reduction, unique legislation they did for Ashland County as a pilot project that they could consider something soon. So it was a great opportunity for brainstorming some potential, not one silver bullet, but, death by 1,000 swords, I guess.
I think if you're going to get anything done on these ponds and little retention dams, they're going to have to come up with better cost shares for the farmers, because the farmers don't have that kind of money to throw around. They're stressed enough right now without having to throw money into dams that may or may not work, or ponds that may or not work, Yeah, that's what I see out there is farmers are falling under daily.
Well, and that was brought up at the meeting, and there were some other resources out that can kind of do that cost share. I think some groups that we need to have on our commission is apparently because they have a lot of voice and money is Trout Unlimited. So they talked about getting some of these other stakeholders in to help move this stuff. We started with DATCAP and the DNR, and then you also want to talk starting with the uplands right now, woods, all of that, and then erosion and water quality. All of that has to play into this funding, and EQIP is another one. I mean, it was a lot of acronyms thrown around, so I took a lot of notes because it's like, how do you get these partnerships to get it up to that 100%?
I will be likely to bring forward a request. I would love your feedback at some point. I want to ask for $100,000 a year of Ho-Chunk. La Crosse County puts forward $100,000 a year in county funds, which is what they've been using to bring people to 100%. So if we could do what La Crosse County does, but do it with 100,000 of Ho-Chunk every year, we would then be able to use Kenny's funding to bring in. And there's other things that this is beyond, I think, the agenda item, but there's this idea of build and batch, where we can batch certain practices like farm ponds that we really want to promote. And we actually aren't waiting for people to come to us. We're looking at the work Sammer's done, and we're proactively going to those people. There's really clever tricks like assignment of payment, so that the farmer doesn't even have to, otherwise the farmer has to claim that on their income taxes. It's as income. There are clever strategies of build and batch processes, which I believe farm ponds would. This is beyond today's agenda, but just sharing that there are many funding sources that we are exploring and trying to match them together.
That became very apparent at that meeting. So part of that vision of that commission is to have the formula put together with these people and say, okay, this is what could happen at your farm. And make it, and cut through the chase for them. And we have to simplify, but we have to, and it's not a one fit all. It isn't. That was very clear too. Each place is very unique, but they need support, and that's the vision of, here's our group, this is what we can come up, this one's got 5%, 10%, blah, 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 and we can do it for 100% with you. We just need your commitment.
Kenny pointed out hard times, they could pay up to 90%, but we could cover that with the 10%.
With one of these,
whatever it is,
and
you know, we
people
can back all
advocating
this
these
stuff.
funds. We need people advocating.
Yeah.
It is a hard sell because a lot of the dams, you know, if you're 15 or 20,000, 30%, you're looking at $5,000 to $6,000.
Right.
So it's hard. So yeah.
And they may have to claim it as income, the 70% they're receiving.
Yeah.
On top of that, and they're probably giving up some cropland in order to do it. You know, so all those things together are important. I will say, Bob McKeel, who, he's all right. No, Bob McKeel from Monroe County, he does have a strong opinion that 100% is inappropriate because people do need some skin in the game. So that is his philosophy. But again, those are things I think the commission, and as we move forward, and really we are building capacity so we can streamline, because right now that's our bottleneck. It's having enough design ability to even meet the current need. But we're getting there quickly, and how to structure the cost sharing so that it works, and really thinking about the farmer's perspective and how hard it is to move.
Or the landowner, but part of it was too, there was a time when there used to be a technician for each watershed. And somehow getting back up to that again. And getting a technician for each watershed. So that would be 4.
We're moving.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, people want to see we're going somewhere.
Dave, do you have?
Well, I've said it before, but I've got that 2-mile waterway that goes down to one of these dams, and my farm drains into the other dam that I grew up with. And I don't want ponds on my ridge farm.
Well, there might be some alternative. I don't know what it is.
You could get some goose hunting going.
Dig a big hole in the valve.
I think we got a lot of questions and no's, but I think we should establish that commission. You guys get together and bring that to us next month, and we'll go from there again.
Can I ask?
We're just talking here, and we got a lot of ideas, but there'll be a lot more coming here, especially with money behind them.
Can I ask one question?
Go ahead, Nate.
So it sounds like we've got Oldenburg and PAF on board. Was there any dialogue with Baldwin Van Orden on that?
So Baldwin was represented there by her staffer. Van Orden was not.
We talked to Holly last meeting that was here at our county board meeting. They're well aware of our situation and what we want. Lauren and I visited with her quite a while. So they know. It's just, they should be invited though too.
They're aware, but is there like?
I don't know where they're at. Where they're at with it, I don't know. We've got to find that out.
Yeah, I would say, Greg, Wubernick was supportive with Baldwin's office, but he did not speak a lot. Is Holly live in Stoddard?
No,
Is that?
there's the, I think it's one that's above her lives in Stockton.
Sorry to interrupt. This is Molly Bond with Congressman Derek Van Orden's office, so I have been present this whole meeting as well. So just to let you know.
Molly, do you live in Stoddard?
I do not. Mary from our office does, though.
Yeah. Did you have any comments here? Long as we were talking about this?
No, I don't have any specific comments. Like when I talked to the board chairman and previously at the meeting, we are aware of the issues and we're looking in on what we can do for support, but still just trying to attend all these meetings as possible, or if there's other future meetings, or if you guys want to meet separately, just let me know.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anything else here? Not? We'll hear from you next month. Okay, we move on to item 19, which is reports from committee members and announcements.
So, hoping that has happened since the last meeting was we had 2 school groups down at Tidy Hollow for some conservation days. Those went really well. And then a lot of you did attend our DAC tour. And that was our 5-year plan got approved. So
And I think they're going to offer us a 5-year freebie, like a pass on our next 5-year, because Kenny, you were there. She pulled me aside right at the end. She's like, before I retire, I'm giving you guys a 5-year free because the tour went so well today. That's basically what she said.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Yeah. And they're having trouble because so many counties need their approval at the exact same time. So
it was very
let me tell you, 5 years ago, Ben and Larson and we went to Madison to get this approved initially. And this was 5 years now since, but they wanted us down there. They insisted we be there. And I don't know why that time, but we weren't used to going to Madison, getting that approved, but we passed in flying colors and this time they came to us.
Yeah.
Amazing. Really.
Well, and it was really great for them to see ponds and to stand on that river dam and then just see like, what is this like when water's rushing through?
Yeah, the 24 kids that were swimming in the
down below
building.
Yeah, it's not that exciting. It's just.
But Sarah, did you have any more announcements? Let's just make sure we reemphasize next week's area meeting. Who has all signed up for that? And David. So that'll be next week in Sparta. Because I don't have the time right at my fingertips. We've given them
9:30,
so you'll get a meal.
9:30. Sandwich?
I can't promise.
What was the name of the other county that got their approved?
That was Chippewa County.
I have 9 o'clock.
Chippewa was there too. That's quite a travel.
Yeah, I think it's 9.
Yeah, but it's closer to Madison.
True.
For them.
Anything else here? Announcements? No more? Okay. Adjournment's in order.
Move.
Wow.
Motion. Dave?
It is 9:30.
Would I get a second? Frank? Sure. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.